please, oh please, it's obvious. What is the Great Conjunction? So this has been a day that many people are saying, is this the end of the world? People are saying, are we leveling up our consciousness, getting superpowers? Is that what's gonna happen on December 21st? I'm gonna break this all down for you, exactly what December 21st means, what the Great Conjunction is, and what this means for you, what you can do to prepare for this day. How I heard about it from Spiritual Soul, NLE Choppa, and others. And a lot of YouTubers will be saying stuff like, many won't make it to the new earth. What does this mean? People are getting scared. It's making people really scared, making them frightened. Like, people are messaging me like, scared, like, what does this mean, bro? I'm freaking out, getting anxiety about this, yo. I'm gonna break this all down, let you know exactly what this means and how you can prepare for this date. And so much more fascinating info that I uncovered, because I did a lot of research. I did hours worth of research. I broke it all down into this presentation for you. They're not the only people, right? The spiritual community isn't the only community. It's just like, we got an evangelist pastor. This guy is apparently some big guy that I just heard about doing this research, you know? And he believes also that it's gonna be the end of the world, doomsday, because of the Mayan calendar, right? Because the Mayan calendar. What is the Mayan calendar? So it's a system of calendars and almanacs which was used by several cultures in Central America, dates back to 5th century BCE, and is still used in some Mayan communities today. The Mayan calendar has 3 corresponding calendars. Basically, when the calendar is ending, it means that the universe will be destroyed and then recreated at the start of each universal cycle. That's what the Mayans had believed. It was thought that it would be on December 2012. The number of lost days in a year due to this shift in the Gregorian calendar is 11 days. And so we have to make up this difference in time by doing all this math right here, as you can see. And it makes a difference in 8 years. So the actual end of the Mayan calendar is now, December 2020. December 2020. Is this the apocalypse now? Apocalypse, take note, in Greek means an uncovering, unfolding and unveiling, a revelation of something hidden, and that is in progress. Right? And you can see that this unfolding is happening right now, majorly in 2020, right? With Corona. It's given so many people the time to go within, right? To be in solitude, to do so much research. And so many people are waking up. You can see it. So many people are waking up now in 2020. This has been amazing. This year has been very transformational. So what is the Great Conjunction that is happening on this very day that the Mayan calendar has decided is the end, right? The end. It's the Great Conjunction. So the ancients were really in tune with the stars, right? They knew stuff. They knew a lot. They knew a lot. They actually did. And so what is the Great Conjunction? The Great Conjunction. So what is happening is Jupiter and Saturn are coming into alignment, and Jupiter and Saturn will basically be coming within 0.01 degrees of one another and create the brightest star in the skies since the stars of Bethlehem. It will be the closest that Jupiter and Saturn have been since 1623, and it won't even come that close again for another 800 years. Look at that. Look at that, Eric. So another 800 years. That's how rare this is right now. This is a rare event. And December 21st is also the day of the winter solstice, which will mark the astronomical start of the winter. On this day, the planet's North Pole will be most tilted away from the sun. It's a rare and special thing that we have been chosen to see the start of the Age of Aquarius. So basically, this is the Age of Aquarius. But this Great Conjunction it's gonna be in the Aquarius air sign, the way that Jupiter and Saturn is lining up, right? And so let me just explain to you what the winter solstice is. The northern hemisphere begins on this day, December 21st, which is the winter solstice, and it's this precise moment at which the northern hemisphere is tilted farthest away from the sun. The low sun angle and the lack of daylight will account for the season's cold. So this is just the winter solstice, which is happening. And this is the Great Conjunction. This is a chart that I honestly cannot read. I can't read it, but everyone has linked this similar chart as to the explanation at how the Great Conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn will take place at 0 degrees of Aquarius, right? The constellation Aquarius, which is an air sign. And yeah, I'm not an astrology expert, right? I admit that, but I'm bringing you this collection of all the information that I know, that I've researched for this particular day. And this is basically the explanation for the Great Conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn happening on 0 degrees Aquarius. So I can't read this exactly, but that is the chart that many astrologers are explaining. That is what is the Great Conjunction, basically. And this is what it's gonna look like, right? Take a look. It's gonna be super bright. It's gonna be super bright. It's gonna look like one big star, because they're gonna be lining up just like this, right? Here's the sun, there's the earth, Jupiter and Saturn. This is how they're lining up, right? They're lining up perfectly, one right in front of the other, right? Jupiter right in front of Saturn. So that's a visual, so you can see this better. But before we continue to go on, just realize that the ancients had some serious knowledge with the stars. Look at this pyramid. The pyramids of Giza line up with Orion's belt. So look how perfect it all is, right? They knew that there was extreme significance with the stars and space, right? They knew there was extreme significance with the way that the stars all line up. It's like this map, right? It's like this very important map. So I think it's worth taking into consideration this whole day and how impactful it really could be. I'm also going to be talking about the great solar flash that many are saying is going to be happening around this time as well. I'll be going into that later. But this is the Age of Aquarius that we are entering, and this is a very pivotal date for the Age of Aquarius. What is the Age of Aquarius? In astrology, it is either the current or forthcoming astrological age, depending on the method of calculation. Astrologers maintain that astrological age is the product of Earth's slow precessional rotation and lasts for 2,160 years on average. So this is the very beginning. So you can see how pivotal this is. It's the very beginning, and it's gonna last a very, very long time, right? This Age of Aquarius. And although astrologers disagree about the exact start date, they do agree that the Age of Aquarius is about flattening the pyramid and the individuals assuming more power. So the pyramid meaning the structure of power that is in our matrix, our society. So that is something that is agreed upon. I wrote the sources below actually as well, so you can see. And so the Age of Aquarius is an air sign. As these planets move into the airy Aquarius, they'll usher into a new age of more freedom. So more freedom, right? And as I said, it's debatable when it exactly started. The thing is that it's gonna be Saturn and Jupiter, these major planets, like the biggest, right? Jupiter is the biggest. It's aligning at 0 degrees, and the fact that there's such large planets means that there's gonna be a major shift in energies, right? Just think about it like this: like the moon has a big impact on the Earth. Moon isn't even as close to being as big as the planets, right? And the moon has major impact over the waves, right? Our oceans are controlled by the moon. And women's like the menstrual cycles. The menstrual cycles also dictated by the moon. And so you can see why this is an incredible thing, right? You can kind of see why. So 0 degrees, the way that it's Saturn and Jupiter lines up at 0 degrees represents infinite potential and possibilities. It represents a time where all things are possible and a new foundation is opening. When Jupiter and Saturn come together, there is both the intensity of old forms dying as well as the fertility of new growth beginning to take shape. The Age of Aquarius is also associated with liberty, uniqueness, and difference. Aquarius energy allows us to focus on what is good for the whole rather than focusing solely on our own needs and wants, so that we are able to see that we are all connected and that we all need to come together to create a better world. So that is like the new earth that Eneli Chapa was talking about, right? Like the new earth that is coming right now. And the energy of the Great Conjunction will feel the most powerful in the weeks leading up to it and the weeks after it. So like right now, it's starting to come into alignment. And then it will fade into the background of our lives, where it will continue to influence us most strongly for the coming years, right? This is the Age of Aquarius that we have entered right now. Quite a time to be alive. Quite a time to be alive right here. It's going to be lasting over 2,160 years, and we are here, baby. We are here experiencing this right now. New age of more freedom. Powerful energies, right? Saturn and Jupiter. Big planets. The moon has a big impact on us, so these planets probably do too. What does Jupiter stand for? Jupiter stands for abundance and expansion. So this is like from our collective consciousness that all of us humans have came together and picked up that Jupiter is linked with abundance and expansion, right? So I'm not the biggest expert on astrology, but I'm telling you what our collective consciousness, our humanity, has come up with, right? This energy is naturally optimistic and allows us to see the possibilities and the potentials. Jupiter is considered to be the lucky planet and one that will bring us our natural gifts and rewards in this life. So this is pretty important that it is coming into alignment. As you can see, it very much correlates with the new Earth being more associated with freedom, right? More expansion, possibilities, abundance, right? But then there's Saturn, which is associated with time and is actually considered a harsh planet that likes to impose rules and restrictions and wants to set boundaries and make us feel held back and even oppressed. It is through Saturn that we are able to mature, become wiser, and to find our true inner strength and power. Saturn is also associated with, is considered the Lord of Karma, right? Saturn is also very much associated with time. So it's like this yin yang, right? This yin yang that is happening right now. And so check this out, right? Saturn is associated with this harsh planet that likes to impose rules and restrictions. And now we see this happening right now, right? With Corona. And it's being, in my opinion, blown out of proportion a bit. And now we got the, I can't say certain words. I'm trying to figure out how to like say this because like I don't want this YouTube video to get like flagged or demonetized because I say certain words. But it's a lot. There's some restrictions that they're starting to happen right now because of Corona, right? Restrictions are happening. They're clamping down because they know they're losing control. This year has been very transformational for so many, right? So many people are waking up. Now, I want to go into this. The Simpsons, how they made this little prediction, right? This came out in November of this year, and this is the prediction, right? It looks like doomsday. It looks like doomsday out here. It's Homer sitting on his house with his gun, and look at all the mayhem that's going on, right? And here and this is the same episode. It's like literally the apocalypse, right? Famine, war, pestilence, treehouse of horror, right? So this is like the programming that is going on right now. They want people to be in a state of fear, but you don't have to be in a state of fear. This is what we're always getting conditioned towards, fear, right? Because fear is control. When you're in a state of fear, this is when you're easily manipulated. as you can see, The Simpsons has predicted this. Don't keep that vision in your head though, that this is what is gonna happen, right? Don't keep this, because, and there's this one movie about this, I forget what it's called, but it just came out, and it's about how, like, it's about Corona basically, and it's like really intense, like almost like everyone's rights are getting taken away, like everybody got to get the shot, you know what I mean? And like, don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. They want you to be more scared. They want you to have more fear and to be more controlled. Because 2020 is the year of 2020 vision, right? Waking up from the matrix, right? I love this YouTuber. Ralph Smart was basically speaking about this, right? He was speaking about how that there could be also a day or more, or maybe he said it was 3 days, where we might lose like internet, like complete internet, right? He's a big YouTuber, you know what I mean? And he made this, he said, you heard this here first, this prediction, how the internet's not going to be working for maybe even 3 days. The top of the pyramid basically saying, we own you, right? Like, we control you. Don't forget who's in charge. It's basically that kind of thing. But don't be in fear. That's the biggest message I have for you. I'm not done yet, but this is the biggest message I have for you, is to not be in a state of fear. So we've heard a lot of people talking about solar flares that are also going to be happening around this time. And look at this. NASA has even posted an article saying from September 22nd, be prepared for the sun to disrupt our technology in a few years, right? And according to this doctor, our sun can disrupt radio communications for airplanes, cause GPS inaccuracies, and there's a lot of effects that we feel through our technological systems, and we have to be prepared for them, right? And we actually just had a big solar flare that just happened. So that might have been what a lot of YouTubers have been talking about, right? This great solar flash, great solar flare. It actually just happened like less than a week ago. And so that could have been it, right? But we're going to have so much more. We're going to have so much more because look, NASA discovered that the sun has started a new phase, a time when the sun has more solar flares than usual. This is what it looks like: solar minimum, solar maximum. Look at that. It's kind of trippy too, like how it's coming out. So what happens if one of these energy bursts off the sun are way bigger than usual? Dan, the doctor, explains that it can damage wide-scale power grids and cause huge blackouts, right? So the sun has a big impact on us. The sun has a big impact on us, right? The Carrington event of September 1st, 1859, astronomer Richard Carrington noticed two patches of intensely bright and white light erupting from the sunspots. 5 minutes later, the fireballs vanished, but within hours, their impact would be felt across the globe. This is what happened, right? This is one of the biggest events we've had recently from a solar flare, a huge solar flare that happened. So telegraph communications failed. Reports of sparks showering from telegraph machines, shocking operators and setting papers ablaze. And there were beautiful auroras illuminated in the nighttime skies, glowing so brightly that the birds began to chirp, and the laborers started their daily chores, believing that the sun has already begun rising. That's how bright it was. And some thought the end of the world was happening, and it was a massive solar flare with the energy of 10 billion atomic bombs. So this is big, right? Our sun is powerful. Don't forget this. The solar flare spewed electrified gas and subatomic particles toward Earth, resulting the geomagnetic storm, the largest on record that has struck the planet. Here's some more stuff that happened. The wires from the telegraph manager said that the wires were so powerful that platinum contacts were in danger of melting, and streams of fire were pouring from the circuits. This one guy said he was severely shocked, and an arc of fire jumped from Royce's head to the telegraph equipment. So I mean, look, I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know how powerful the sun is and how big of an impact it can have. But now we're moving towards All right, so we have this physical, right? This physical effect. Things are blowing up, things are setting on fire, right? Now let's look at it spiritually, right? Now let's look at it spiritually. So this person right here, so she's an ambassador of the Galactic Federation, right? The ones who were basically speaking with the extraterrestrials, communicating with them, right? So I'm just giving you so you can see who she is. And she basically had this first contact by the Galactic Federation when she was 6 years old, and for many years she was taken onto ships regularly in order to get specific healing therapies and upgrades on a quantum level. So I'm going to be explaining to you her explanation of what can happen from a solar flare, the effects that we can get spiritually, right? So she wrote this in her blog, right? The Lemurians really found that the sun was the source of all life and all power, and that the cosmic doors will open on December 21st. And this also coincides with the Hindu calendar of the Lemurian origin. And the cosmic dates will open, and it'll be one of the most powerful, unstoppable hertz gamma light, and will crawl across the heavens and flow freely across the planet. During the golden age, the planet existed in the highest dimensions, and the Lemurians reached a state of enlightened consciousness where the Kundalini ascended and developed, right? And these master beings possess supernatural abilities like immortality, flight, teleportation, and time travel, right? And it is written that in the Lemurian manuscripts, which the Lemurians were around the time where we had Atlantis, right? So this is around the time we had Atlantis. You know, these ancients were really like ahead. They were ahead of the game, right? And that the central sun is the only source of all supernatural abilities, right? That's what she had stated. And it is the source of all life, all matter, and evolution across the cosmos. Russian scientists have shown that a ray of gamma light can change the DNA of a living being, can transform the embryo of one species into an entirely different species within 48 hours. In the same way, this gamma light is activating the DNA called junk in the human body to reconstruct the 12 plus 1 original strands of our species. So scientists say we have so much junk DNA, but does nature really waste things? Does nature really waste things? Come on. Not really. Not really. There's a reason why we have all this DNA, and it's not being used, not activated to the full potential. So the sun could be one source that can ignite this within us, right? Ignite and open up all this junk DNA, right? And give us these powers, some kinds of powers like immortality, flight, teleportation, and time travel. I'm not saying we're gonna get these powers, but I'm just explaining to you the power of the sun, right? She continues to say, the more strands that are DNA active of the DNA that are active, the higher level of consciousness of the human being. We know what comes from remembering our past and seeing the future within ourselves. And so the movement of the stars is the language of gods. Celestial alignments have a direct effect in human evolution and on the planet. The larger the celestial event, the greater the physical and conscious impact it will have on humanity and the perception of its experiences. She wrote, the great solar flash will occur before the end of the year, and it will be a massive eruption of white, blinding, magnetic, fifth-dimensional gamma light expelled from the galactic core that will be seen as a second sun in the sky. So there's actually a lot of people during this year that saw something that looked like a second sun, and maybe I could have put that in here, but there was a lot of people that saw a second sun, and it happened before the end of the year, right? It happened months ago, right? It happened months ago, and now we just had a huge solar flash that just happened, right? We had a great solar flash, and it wasn't like the Carrington event. It wasn't that huge where things were just all knocked out, right? Things are set ablaze. It wasn't that huge. I think what's important to recognize is that it's going to be happening more often. And there is a potential impact that can be affecting our consciousness, right? So I think what is so important is to just be open to the solar to the solar flares, to the sun. Just be open, and keep an open mind, and just be open to receiving those frequencies, because you really never know the massive amount of potential that can occur right in your consciousness. So just being open and being aware of it, I think, is really important, an important takeaway from this. So the next part I want to talk to you about is Dolores Candace. So what she does is this quantum healing hypnosis technique, where sessions where the person finds out why they're having problems they're experiencing this lifetime. And after a while, Dolores began getting information about the event, which is like this massive awakening, which I don't believe is actually right now. I think it's happening, and and the many other metaphysical concepts and knowledge that humanity is now supposed to learn or relearn in certain cases. And this information is given from a source from what she calls the subconscious, the higher self, or the oversoul, and it is extremely powerful and benevolent, and it has the answers to everything. She says it is the source of all knowledge. It even does instantaneous healing in some cases. It usually comes through during the end of the session where the client's issues have been addressed. So, I mean, hypnosis, we know, is super powerful. People can be people can be hypnotized into doing some very interesting things. I've even heard, I've seen situations where someone's hypnotized. They were at this point, they couldn't even see a certain person in front of them. They turned someone invisible in front of them. They weren't able to perceive them. So, I mean, hypnotism has a lot to it, and I think it is extremely powerful. And so this is the technique that she's using, and here's what she's learning about the Great Awakening, right? This event that is happening, the event. So she's speaking to this one person, and this one person is explaining that it is a big time on your planet. It is a very big time where you as a planet, and she's basically getting this gene right here, is getting this download, right? The subconscious, the oversoul is speaking through her, right? And it's saying that this is a time you as a planet waken out of the dream of thinking you're alone, that you are all that is. Your Earth is evolving. You are all evolving, and all eyes are on Earth right now. This is the big one. Many fought to be here. Even children that come in for hours, they come here just to be on Earth, because it's huge time of evolution, and no planet has quite evolved like this way before, this uniquely. And if you're going to have the option to carry the identification of being on this planet, it's worth it, basically. That's why so many souls come here. And she says that there's more than just the universe. There are even those, even from other universes, that are watching the Earth, basically, and our evolution. And Dolores says, because they said this has never happened before, right? Where an entire planet moves into another dimension, and Jean responds, never, ever. So this is extremely powerful. This Great Awakening, this shift in consciousness, this shift in our reality that is occurring right now. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And so moving into this other dimension, right? Dolores had this experience with this other person, Susan, right? And so Susan was a part of an Indian tribe, right? In her past life. I believe it was in her past life. She was a part of this Indian tribe where they basically moved on to another dimension. So she said your people took their physical bodies and surroundings with them, is that right? She said, I'm not sure about that. They either manifested similar surroundings where they went, or moved into another dimension that already had it there. I see that we're being asked to come back, and I have tears now. We're being asked to come back to Earth, and as they moved on to this other dimension, that she said, we seem pretty eternal. We moved off the physical plane where we might have died to some kind of frequency where it's not necessary to die. And I think we pulled it off, kind of like a transition of even the molecular structure of our bodies. I think it became spirit somehow, Suzanne says, basically. Dolores says, you mean it changed in some way? Suzanne says, yes, it was some transformation when we left. I think we took our physical bodies we took our bodies with us when we left. I think we took the physical bodies that changed and we took them with us. And Dolores said, you changed the molecular structure? She said, yes, totally. So I think this is just important to realize that we could be basically going through this as we go through this transition. As we go through this transition and we maintain, if we are maintaining a high vibrational state, if we are maintaining this high vibrational state, it could be something like we're going almost like into a parallel, something like into a parallel universe, as she explained, where it was, they manifested similar surroundings around where they went. So it could look similar, like, you know, it looks physical, right? It looks all physical, similar, but it could be almost like a parallel universe because we're able to maintain this high vibrational state. Just the certain ones that are maintaining this high vibrational state. Dolores Cannon has another patient and her name is Anne, and she's talking about the same topic. It's basically about the event, as in the like this great awakening. And basically Dolores asks, are there going to be similar disasters in many cities? And Anne says some caused by natural, some caused by those in power who are making every effort to keep things the way they are. They are aware of the changes they refuse to accept. It's like a child who doesn't want to hear the truth, and they refuse to admit that they are no longer in charge. So they continue to cling to these ways and may cause more confusion. They feel they may be able to slow down the process and maintain a low vibration by keeping fear on the surface. So that's like what I was talking about basically with 2020, is like this age of the Great Awakening. So many people are getting that 2020 vision, seeing things for what they are. And as we enter into this air sign, Aquarius, the sign of freedom, we now see that this shift is happening. And the ones at the top of the pyramid, they're getting scared because they know that we are about to enter into this new age. And Dolores Cannon goes on to say, but in the new world, things are different than the old world. Isn't that true? Anne says, yes. And Dolores Cannon says they won't be experiencing the chaos. And says, no, the chaos is mostly a breaking down of the belief systems. The chaos is caused by the belief systems being challenged and brought down to a place of complete blank slate or a clean slate. And that is chaos for many. Those who go on to the new world are comfortable with the new belief systems and therefore will no longer struggle the way those struggle now. It's not that it's a transformation where all of a sudden people become something they are not. Also heard that whenever the transition happens, we would be allowed to take our physical bodies with us if we want to. Is that correct? And says that is true, but it will only be for a short time. There will be another transition very shortly after. Dolores says, what will happen at that time? And says, mankind will become pure energy. Dolores says, the ones that make the ascension. And says, that is correct. And Dolores continues on to say, I've heard that not everyone will make the transition. And says, everyone will be given the opportunity. Whether they can hold that vibration or not is up to them individually. But no judgment will be made on them. They will simply be able to hold the energy or not, but none will be destroyed. As the comments have been heard, they will be placed in an appropriate space for the vibration that they are emitting. So that's like what I was explaining, to just be open to the energy shifts that could be happening from the Great Conjunction. Just be open to these vibrations, but also it's that time where all that work, if you've been meditating, is gonna be paying off, because you're gonna be even more open to these frequencies. You're gonna be more well adapted. So it's really a time to really go within, to meditate, to get into that space of neutrality, right? Not being into those low vibrational states. This is that pivotal moment where you're able to receive these frequencies, these energies, or you're not. That's what I believe that she's kind of saying here. Basically, it's that kind of thing where she says they'll be able to hold the vibration or not. And so I think that is something to just take into consideration. as these have been accounts from Dolores basically going into hypnotism with these patients, right? And it's from the superconscious or the higher self. So whatever name it is, it's something, there's something major happening. And whether this is, as I said, the event might not be exactly December 21st. It's like a gradual process that's happening. This is a gradual process that's happening. There's going to be more solar flares that are going on. So just keep an open mind. Be open to receiving. If you've been meditating, then you're going to be already a lot more open-minded, because physically the way that your brain is already wired is going to be in that way, because the more you meditate, the less of the fear center you have. The less of the fear center you have, you're able to stay grounded. You're able to stay calm. You're able to maintain those states of gratitude, this happiness, elevated emotions. You're able to keep those states. So knowing this now, I think it's really important to do the shadow work, right? As we know, Saturn deals with the law of karma. So it's almost as if, like, if you look at this, the way that the planets are lined up, right? We have Saturn here, and then we have Jupiter here. Saturn is more about that control, right? It's more about the karma. Jupiter is more about abundance, right? Expansion. So if you can do the shadow work, right? Facing the karma, the energy, and the subconscious trauma that you may have, going through the shadow work, doing the meditations to get through those energies of Saturn, to move into expansion, abundance, growth, is the energy signature of Jupiter. So going into the new year, going into the age of Aquarius, just keep an open mind, be open to receiving whatever energies that may happen. So keep in mind how the ancients treat the stars. They treat it as a very important thing, and I truly believe that's for a reason. The ancients knew so much, and a lot of this knowledge has been forgotten. It's been forgotten, and I think it's important to realize, the moon has a huge impact on our ocean currents, right? So I believe bigger planets are gonna have a big impact on us as well. I mean, look at astrology and how much it aligns with our lives. Like, reading about certain horoscopes, maybe reading about your sign, it can be so accurate, right? So just keep this all in mind, and be open to receiving. Be open, and by meditating, that's how you're becoming more open to these frequencies, because you're going past the beta, past the beta wavelengths, right? You're going into the alpha and the theta, and when you're doing this, you're able to go into the subconscious, the operating system of yourself, right? You're able to go into the operating system of yourself. By meditating, going into the operating system of yourself, you are more open. Your cells are literally more receptive. They're literally more receptive. So there could be, so knowing all this, right? We got that person from we got Aurora, right? From the Galactic Federation. She got this knowledge, and so many others have been talking about this. I think it's worthwhile noting that it's an event that could be very transformational for ourselves, and meditation is one of the biggest, best things that you could be doing for yourself. And on that day, December 21st, we're gonna have a global meditation. It's gonna be live on YouTube right here. It's gonna be live on YouTube, TikTok, on Instagram. So if you want to join, that would be awesome, because the more people that can get together and meditate on the same day, we've already seen that it has potential to spike the Schumann resonance, right? Spike the Schumann resonance. There's so much that's connected into this, right? And if we all collectively can meditate and be open to these higher, these frequencies, if we can all, then we can potentially increase the vibration of the planet even more, even greater. We can all work towards entering we would all be working towards entering a world, an earth of the vibration of love. And I truly believe that is the goal. That is the goal. As you can see, so many planets, so many universes are watching us. So many different life forms are watching us, because this is such a beautiful thing that we are going through. So meditation is one of the best things. And no, people won't just pass away from this, right? People won't just pass away from this. The earth is not literally gonna have an apocalypse where you know, everything is just boom, done, right? It's the start of the age of Aquarius. So welcome and congratulations for being here alive to experience this. Thank you for watching this video. And I want to make a song like about this. I really want to make a song about this. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned. I got a lot more coming. So subscribe, hit the bell notification, because I got a lot more videos coming. Till next time, peace. Oh, please keep your mind at ease. It's obvious.